The neon sign of the Moonlight Bar flickered against the rainy Chicago night, casting purple shadows across puddles that reflected the city's restless glow. Inside, Zora Blackwood wiped down the counter with practiced efficiency, her mind wandering to the quantum physics equations she'd been working on before her shift. 5 years of brilliant academic work, and here she was, mixing drinks instead of unraveling the mysteries of the universe. "Another round for table 6, called out Marcus, her fellow bartender, interrupting her thoughts. "And try not to look so thrilled about it." Zara managed a small smile as she began preparing the cocktails. At least bartending let her pay the bills while she independently pursued her research on quantum entanglement. The university might have rejected her controversial theories, but she knew she was onto something revolutionary. The door chimed, and Zara looked up to see a woman who seemed to absorb all the light in the room. Her skin had an opalescent quality that Zara initially attributed to the bar's lighting, and her eyes. There was something mesmerizing about them, like staring into twin nebulae. The stranger moved with an otherworldly grace, each step precisely measured as she approached the bar. She wore a simple black dress that somehow looked both elegantly tailored and as if she'd never worn clothes before. "Welcome to Moonlight," Zara said, noting how the woman studied everything with intense focus. "What can I get you?" "I require." The woman paused, consulting what appeared to be a small notebook, a beverage that exemplifies human cultural significance. Zara raised an eyebrow. Either this was an elaborate performance piece, or she had the most peculiar customer of the night. "That's quite a tall order. Any particular preferences? Sweet, bitter, strong?" "I defer to your expertise in human consumption rituals." A smile tugged at Zara's lips. "All right then, let me make you something special." She began gathering ingredients, her hands moving with practiced precision. This was her other gift, the ability to craft drinks that seemed to capture emotions in liquid form. "I'm Zora, by the way," she offered as she worked. "You may call me Nixus," the woman replied, watching Zora's movements with scientific intensity. Zara combined gin with house-made violet liqueur, adding drops of silver dust bitters, her own creation, and finishing with a splash of champagne. The drink shimmered like captured starlight. "I call this one Cosmic Harmony," Zora said, placing the iridescent cocktail before Nixus. "It's not on the menu. I only make it for interesting customers." Nixus lifted the glass with careful precision, examining it from all angles before taking a sip. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, Zara could have sworn they literally glowed. "This sensation," Nixus said, her composed demeanor cracking slightly, "it creates neural responses I did not anticipate. The complexity of flavors, the molecular interaction with taste receptors." She caught herself and added quickly, "It is most satisfactory." Zara leaned forward, intrigued. "You have an unusual way of describing things. Are you a scientist?" "I am an observer," Nixus replied carefully, "currently studying human social interactions and cultural practices." "Anthropologist, in a manner of speaking." Nixus took another sip, and this time Zara definitely saw a faint luminescence beneath her skin. "Your creation suggests a deep understanding of molecular composition and sensory response. Are you a chemical engineer?" "Quantum physicist, actually. Or I was, until the academic world decided my theories about consciousness affecting quantum states were too radical." Zara surprised herself with the admission. She usually didn't discuss her past with customers. "Your understanding of quantum consciousness is considered radical." Now it was Nixus who leaned forward, her interest palpable. "Perhaps your colleagues lack sufficient perspective on universal constants." Before Zara could respond, a commotion erupted at the far end of the bar. 2 men were arguing over a spilled drink, their voices rising. Zara moved to intervene, but Nix's hand shot out with impossible speed, catching her wrist. "Exercise caution," Nixus said, her eyes fixed on the men. The one in gray exhibits elevated aggression hormones and possession of a concealed weapon. How could you possibly know that? Zara whispered, but she stayed put. Sure enough, as Marcus approached the argument, the man in gray reached behind his back. Before he could draw whatever he was carrying, two undercover officers who had been watching from a booth moved in, subduing him efficiently. Zara turned back to Nixis, questions burning in her mind, but the mysterious woman was already standing, placing payment on the bar with precise movements. I must depart, Nixis announced, but I shall return tomorrow night. Your beverage has provided unexpected insights into human potential. She paused, then added with what almost seemed like uncertainty, I find myself experiencing an unprecedented desire to continue our interaction. As Nixis walked away, Zara noticed something odd about the money left behind. What appeared to be ordinary bills at first glance seemed to shimmer with strange patterns when she looked closer. By the time she thought to examine them more carefully, they had become completely normal cash. Zara spent the rest of her shift wondering if she had imagined the whole encounter. But one thing was certain. She hadn't imagined the way her quantum equations had suddenly started rearranging themselves in her mind, suggesting new possibilities she never considered before. Zara spent the next day in her small apartment, surrounded by whiteboards covered in quantum equations. Her encounter with Nixis had sparked something, leading to breakthroughs in her theories about consciousness and quantum entanglement. The math was practically writing itself, suggesting possibilities that both thrilled and terrified her. The sound of rain against her windows finally drew her attention to the time. Her shift at Moonlight would start soon, and despite her scientific breakthrough, she felt an inexplicable anticipation about seeing Nixis again. The bar was quieter tonight, the storm keeping most patrons away. When Nixis appeared, she seemed to bring a charge to the air itself. Her opalescent skin caught the neon lights differently, creating subtle patterns that shouldn't have been possible. Your molecular arrangement appears agitated, Nixis said by way of greeting. Have you made a discovery? Zara glanced around, but no other customers were within earshot. How did you know? And what did you really do to my equations? After you left last night, everything started making sense in ways I'd never considered. I merely provided perspective, Nixis replied, settling onto a bar stool with her characteristic precision. Your species' understanding of quantum mechanics is developing. My species. Zara kept her voice low, heart racing. Who are you really, Nixis? Instead of answering, Nixis placed a small object on the bar. It looked like a crystal, but it moved like liquid, reflecting lights that weren't there. Perhaps a trade. Another of your remarkable beverages in exchange for answers. Zara studied the impossible object, her scientist's mind racing with questions. Deal. But this time, I'm making something special just for you. She began gathering ingredients, including several from her private collection of experimental infusions. As she worked, Nixis spoke softly. I am an assessment officer from what you would call the Galactic Council. We monitor developing civilizations, evaluating their potential threat level, and determining appropriate intervention protocols. Zara's hands trembled slightly as she added drops of her shimmer extract to the mixture. Threat level? Are we being evaluated for elimination? That is one possible outcome, Nixis admitted, though my observations suggest such action would be regrettable. Zara finished the drink, a swirling creation that seemed to contain its own aurora borealis. I call this one event horizon, because once you cross that line, everything changes. Nixis lifted the glass, but before drinking, she removed a small device from her dress. It scanned the liquid, projecting holographic data into the air between them. Fascinating. You've created quantum-entangled flavor molecules. The theoretical applications alone. Just taste it, Zora urged, smiling despite the gravity of their conversation. Nixis took a sip. Her eyes widened, then began to glow with actual light. The drink in the glass seemed to respond, its colors intensifying. This is beyond preliminary parameters. The sensory input, the molecular harmonics. She took another sip, larger this time. You crafted this specifically for my physiological response. I had a feeling you might appreciate something a little otherworldly. This exceeds appreciation. Nixes set the glass down with reverence. In my culture, to create something unique for another being, perfectly attuned to their essence, is the most intimate form of bonding. It is, in fact, how we initiate mate pairs. Zura blinked. I'm sorry. What? By your Earth customs, I believe we are now what you would call married. That's not. I just made you a drink. A drink that resonates with my specific quantum frequency, demonstrating both intimate knowledge of my being and dedication to my pleasure. The contract is quite clear. Nixus paused, noting Zora's expression. You seem distressed. Was this not your intent? On Earth, marriage usually involves a bit more discussion first, Zora managed, though she was surprised to find herself more intrigued than alarmed. Ah, a cultural misunderstanding then. However, Nixus's skin rippled with patterns of light. The bond has already begun forming. Your quantum signature is harmonizing with mine. Zora was about to respond when she noticed two customers who had just entered. They moved with the same precise grace as Nixus, but there was something predatory in their stance. We have a problem, Nixus said, her voice tense. Those are enforcement officers. They must have detected our quantum resonance. She stood, moving closer to Zora. I have violated protocol by forming an unauthorized bond with a subject species. What does that mean? It means, Zora Blackwood, that we must leave. Immediately, unless you prefer to be taken to a council facility for examination and memory extraction. Zara looked at the advancing officers, their human disguises seeming to flicker at the edges. She thought of her equations, of the mysteries still unsolved, of the way her world had expanded beyond imagination in just 2 days. Back exits through the kitchen, she said, already moving. I hope your species can run in heels. As they slipped through the kitchen, Zora heard Marcus calling after her. She'd have to apologize later, if there was a later. Right now, she was running through the rain with an alien who had accidentally become her wife, pursued by what amounted to space cops. Somehow, it felt less crazy than it should have. The rain-slicked streets of Chicago blurred past as Zora's ancient Subaru tore through the night. Beside her, Nixus manipulated a device that looked like liquid crystal, her fingers dancing through holographic symbols. They're tracking our quantum resonance, Nixus explained, her skin pulsing with agitated light patterns. The bond between us creates a unique signature. Turn left here. Zara yanked the wheel, sending them down a narrow alley. Can't you just unbond us? That would be like trying to unentangle quantum particles. The more we interact, the stronger the connection grows. Nixus paused. Your heart rate suggests this information causes you distress. Getting chased by alien cops causes me distress, Zora corrected, though she was surprised to find the bond itself didn't bother her as much as it should. What exactly are we running from? What happens if they catch us? Best case scenario. They erase your memories of me and all related events, including your quantum breakthroughs. Worst case, Nixus's skin darkened. The Council decides Earth's quantum advancement has accelerated too rapidly and implements containment protocols. Containment, planetary quarantine, or elimination. Zara pressed the accelerator harder. In the rearview mirror, she caught glimpses of sleek black vehicles that moved too smoothly to be human-made. So no pressure, just the fate of Earth hanging on us not getting caught. Your species' use of humor in crisis situations is remarkable, Nixus observed. Turn right at the next intersection. I have a plan, but you'll need to trust me. Pretty sure we're past the trust threshold after accidentally getting space married. The next turn brought them onto Lower Wacker Drive, the underground street system running beneath Chicago. The fluorescent lights strobed past as they descended deeper into the concrete maze. Your city's subterranean infrastructure is ideal, Nixus said, her device projecting new patterns. The concrete density interferes with their tracking systems. Stop here. Zara pulled into a shadowy alcove. Above them, she could hear the rumble of regular traffic on Upper Wacker. Now what? Now we reverse the quantum signature. Nixis reached over, placing her hand against Zora's chest. A tingling warmth spread through Zora's body, accompanied by swirling patterns of light beneath her skin. What's happening to me? I'm sharing my quantum field properties, temporarily. Nix's eyes glowed brighter. It will make you harder to track, but the process has side effects. The world shifted around Zora. Suddenly, she could see energy patterns flowing through the concrete walls, feel the vibrations of every car above them as distinct ripples in space-time. Most intensely, she could sense Nixis, not just physically, but as a complex matrix of quantum states and possibilities. This is how you perceive reality, Zara whispered, awestruck. A simplified version. Your brain isn't structured to process full-spectrum quantum awareness. Nix's hand remained on Zora's chest, their shared energy creating beautiful interference patterns in the air. Though you're adapting remarkably well. A sudden crash echoed through the underground street. The enforcement officers had found them. In her enhanced state, Zora could see their true forms, beings of crystalline energy barely contained by their human disguises. Drive, Nixis commanded. Zora slammed the accelerator, but her perception of physics had altered. She found herself calculating quantum trajectories, seeing potential paths through space-time like streams of light. The car responded to her enhanced intuition, moving with impossible precision through gaps that shouldn't have existed. Your quantum adaptation is exceeding expected parameters, Nixis said, sounding both impressed and concerned. This shouldn't be possible for your species. Maybe your assessment of humans needs updating. Zara guided them through a series of turns that took them deeper into Chicago's underground labyrinth. My research suggested consciousness directly affects quantum states. Looks like I was right. One of the pursuing vehicles attempted to cut them off, its crystalline occupants reaching out with weapons that distorted space itself. Nixis raised her hand, sending a pulse of energy that caused their pursuers' quantum fields to destabilize temporarily. The Council fears this exact development, Nixis said as they escaped the underground, emerging onto Lakeshore Drive. Human consciousness affecting quantum reality. The implications for universal stability. She cut off as a massive shape appeared in the sky above Lake Michigan. Through her enhanced senses, Zara saw it for what it was. A ship larger than a skyscraper, masked from normal human perception by advanced quantum fields. The Enforcement Command vessel, Nixis breathed. They're escalating beyond standard protocol. What does that mean for us? It means they're no longer concerned with maintaining secrecy. Nixis's device flashed urgent patterns. They'll implement containment procedures for the entire city if necessary. Zara processed this while navigating through traffic that seemed to move in slow motion compared to her enhanced perceptions. So we need to either evade them entirely, or prove that humanity's quantum evolution is a natural development that poses no threat. Nixis finished. Your abilities under quantum enhancement support this argument, but we need more evidence. I know where we can get it. Zora turned the car north. My old research lab at the university. All my data, my experiments. Everything that got me labeled as too radical. With your knowledge, we could prove I was right. And if we're wrong, then at least I'll have confirmation of my theories before the planet gets quarantined. Zora managed a smile. Besides, isn't that what marriage is about? Supporting each other's career goals. For the first time, Nixis smiled. A genuine expression that sent ripples of light cascading across her skin. Your species' capacity for optimism in crisis continues to fascinate me. Behind them, the enforcement vehicles regrouped. Above, the command ship moved to cover more of the city. And between them, quantum energy swirled and danced. Two beings from different worlds bound together by forces even they didn't fully understand. The University of Chicago's physics building loomed before them, its Gothic architecture casting long shadows in the pre-dawn light. Zara's quantum-enhanced senses detected layers of security systems, both human and, surprisingly, something else. "The Council has been monitoring your research facility," Nixis confirmed, reading the patterns in the air. They suspected human quantum advancement was accelerating here. Wonderful. Zara parked in a service alley, her skin still shimmering with borrowed energy. "Any chance they left my lab alone?" "Unlikely. But their observation devices will help prove our case." Nixis' device projected a three-dimensional map of the building. "If we can access their data while demonstrating your theories." A distant rumble shook the ground. Through her enhanced perception, Zara saw quantum distortions spreading across the sky. The command ship was establishing a containment field around the city. "How long before that's complete?" 1 hour, Earth time, Nixis replied. "Once established, they can isolate Chicago from normal spacetime. Everything inside will be adjusted." Adjusted how? Reality revision. The city and everyone in it will be shifted to a timeline where certain discoveries never occurred. Nixis' skin darkened. "Your quantum research, our meeting, all of it will become possibilities that never manifestalized. Then we better move fast." Zara led them to a basement entrance she'd used during late-night research sessions. Her old keycard still worked. Apparently, the university's administrative efficiency was good for something. Inside, the building felt different through her quantum sight. Energy patterns flowed through the walls, and she could sense the Council's monitoring devices woven into reality itself. They climbed stairs to the 3rd floor, where her old lab waited. "Someone's been here," Zara said as they entered. Her equipment had been moved, specimens rearranged. On her whiteboard, complex equations were annotated in script that hurt her eyes to look at. "Council scientists," Nixis confirmed. "They've been studying your work." These notations, she traced the alien script. "They're impressed." And concerned. Zara moved to her quantum consciousness scanner, a device she'd built from modified medical equipment and spare parts. "Help me set this up. If we can demonstrate conscious quantum manipulation while recording the Council's own observations." "Movement in the quantum field," Nixis warned. "Enforcement officers approaching. Multiple vectors." Zara worked faster, connecting cables while Nixis interfaced her alien technology with the human equipment. The quantum bond between them seemed to hum stronger in proximity to the experiments, creating interference patterns that danced across their skin. "Ready," Zara announced. "But we'll need a massive quantum event to get enough data." Nixis met her eyes, patterns of light swirling beneath her opalescent skin. "The bond. If we fully open the quantum connection between us, it could kill me," Zara realized. "My human brain? Yes, but it would prove that human consciousness can naturally evolve to handle quantum interactions." Nixis stepped closer, her energy field intertwining with Zara's. "I cannot make this choice for you." The building trembled as enforcement officers breached the lower floors. Above, the containment field continued to grow. Zara thought of all her years of research, of being called crazy, of finally finding proof in the most unexpected way. "Well," she said, managing a smile, "till death do us part, right?" Nixis's answering smile was radiant. She pressed her hand to Zara's chest, just as she had in the car, but this time she didn't hold back. Pure quantum energy flooded Zara's consciousness, expanding her awareness beyond anything the human was meant to experience. She saw everything. The enforcement officers moving in quantum-enhanced slow motion up the stairs, the command ship's reality warping field spreading across Chicago, the very fabric of space-time unfurling around her like an infinite tapestry. Most incredibly, she saw Nixis's true form, a being of pure quantum possibility, more beautiful and complex than any human language could describe. The scanner recorded everything as their combined quantum signature grew exponentially. Zara's consciousness expanded until she could perceive the Council's vast network of reality monitors throughout the city. Through them, she broadcast the truth they needed to see. Humanity wasn't just ready for quantum evolution. It was already happening. Remarkable, a new voice said. Through her transcendent awareness, Zura perceived another entity entering the lab. Unlike the enforcement officers, this being barely bothered with a human disguise. It appeared as a shifting matrix of quantum probability, its very presence warping space around it. Council Overseer, Nixis acknowledged, maintaining the connection with Zora. Your report suggested human quantum development was unprecedented, the Overseer said, examining the patterns of energy surrounding them. But this, a natural quantum bond with a species supposedly centuries from such capability. Not centuries, Zora managed to speak, though her voice seemed to echo through multiple dimensions. We're ready now. We just needed to see the possibilities. The Overseer moved closer, its quantum field analyzing their connection. The data is undeniable. Human consciousness can naturally evolve to handle quantum mechanics at the highest levels. The implications. A surge of power from above interrupted the conversation. The containment field was nearly complete. Through the windows, Chicago's skyline began to shimmer with quantum distortion. You must decide quickly, Overseer, Nixis urged. The enforcement protocol is hereby suspended, the Overseer declared. This evidence changes everything. Humanity's quantum potential cannot be contained. It must be guided. The pressure in the air lifted as the containment field dissipated. Zara felt her enhanced awareness beginning to fade, but the connection with Nixis remained, settling into a comfortable resonance between them. What happens now? Zara asked, steadying herself against a lab bench. Now, the Overseer said, we begin a new protocol. One of cooperation rather than containment. Starting with you two. Zara looked at Nixis, their quantum bond humming with shared understanding. Whatever came next, they would face it together. A human quantum physicist and her accidental alien wife, bridging the gap between worlds in ways neither of them had imagined possible. 6 months later, the Moonlight Bar had changed. To most patrons, it looked the same: neon lights, jazz music, the perpetual smell of hope and regret. But for those who knew where to look, who could see the quantum patterns woven through reality, it was something more. The first official Earth Council cultural exchange point. Zara stood behind the bar, mixing a drink that defied several laws of physics. Her skin occasionally rippled with quantum energy, a lasting effect of her bond with Nixis. The customer waiting for the drink wasn't human, though their disguise would fool anyone without quantum-enhanced perception. Here's your Schrödinger's sour, Zara said, sliding over a cocktail that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Don't collapse the wave function until you're ready to drink it. The disguised alien's eyes glowed with appreciation. Since Earth had been designated a protected quantum development zone, the bar had become a popular destination for council scientists and observers fascinated by humanity's unique approach to quantum mechanics. Nixis materialized beside her, moving through quantum space with casual grace. After months of living among humans, she'd adopted more natural movements, though she still maintained her precise manner of speech. The Council's Education Committee has approved your proposal, she announced, her excitement showing in the light patterns dancing beneath her skin. The Quantum Consciousness Program will begin next month. Zara grinned. After proving that humans could naturally develop quantum awareness, she'd been appointed Earth's first quantum integration advisor. Her new role involved identifying and training other humans who showed potential for quantum consciousness evolution. How many students in the first class? 12, Nixis replied, selected from quantum physics programs worldwide. Though none show quite your level of adaptation. She touched Zora's arm, their quantum fields harmonizing automatically. The Council believes our bond may have accelerated your development uniquely. Lucky accident, then, Zora teased, remembering the night a misunderstood cocktail had changed the course of human-alien relations. There are no accidents in quantum mechanics, Nixis responded with what had become her favorite Earth saying. Only probability waves we don't yet understand. Marcus approached, carrying empty glasses. Like many of Zara's close friends and family, he'd been cleared to know the truth after the council changed its secrecy protocols. "Your 4 o'clock is here," he said. "The one with the interesting theory about quantum entanglement in coffee." "Dr. Harrison." Zara nodded. She'd begun identifying other researchers whose work approached quantum truth, helping them refine their theories within the Council's new guidelines for controlled advancement. The door chimed, and Zara felt a familiar ripple in the quantum field. The Overseer had arrived for their weekly progress review, its human disguise more convincing than it had been 6 months ago. "Quantum Integration Advisor Blackwood," it greeted formally. "Assessment Officer Nixus. The Council is most pleased with Earth's development. Humanity's natural innovation combined with Council guidance has proven an optimal arrangement," Nixus agreed. "Indeed." The Overseer's quantum field rippled with amusement. "Though some Council members remain concerned about your unorthodox methods of first contact." Zara laughed, beginning to mix the Overseer's usual drink, a cocktail that technically existed next Tuesday. Sometimes the best way to understand a species is through their pleasures, not their physics. "A perspective that has led to fascinating cultural exchange," the Overseer admitted. "The Council's recreational division is particularly intrigued by your happy hour concept." As if on cue, the bar's quantum field shifted as several disguised Council observers activated their own pleasure receptors, experiencing the human joy of after-work drinks. "Just wait until they discover karaoke," Marcus muttered, heading back to his customers. Zara finished the Overseer's drink, adding a garnish that folded through time. Through her quantum perception, she observed the patterns of human and alien energy fields mingling throughout the bar. Science and sociology, physics and pleasure, all mixing together like the perfect cocktail. Nixus wrapped an arm around her waist, their quantum bond humming contentedly. "Your species continues to surprise us," she said softly. "Every day, you find new ways to combine quantum mechanics with fun." "That's humanity for you," Zora replied, leaning into her alien wife's embrace. "We're serious about our pleasures and playful with our physics." Above them, hidden from ordinary human perception, the quantum patterns of Chicago had changed. The city now pulsed with the combined energy of human potential and alien wisdom, a testament to what could happen when different species came together, sometimes by accident, sometimes by design, but always with the possibility of creating something new. To the future, the Overseer raised its time-shifted drink. "To quantum possibilities," Nixus added. "To happy accidents," Zora finished, thinking of that first night when a special cocktail had started it all. Their glasses clinked, creating tiny ripples in space-time. Around them, humans and aliens continued their delicate dance of cultural exchange, each learning from the other, all of them part of a larger pattern that was still unfolding. Outside, the neon sign of the Moonlight Bar flickered against the Chicago night, now broadcasting its welcome in frequencies visible across multiple dimensions. Inside, Zora and Nixus continued their work of bridging worlds, one quantum-enhanced cocktail at a time, proving that sometimes the most powerful forces in the universe weren't the ones you could measure, but the ones you could feel. And somewhere in the vast quantum probability space, countless other realities split off from this moment, some where they never met, others where they met differently. But in this particular slice of space-time, a human quantum physicist and her alien wife had found exactly where they belonged, together, at the intersection of science and soul, mixing drinks that defied physics and serving them to a universe that was still learning how to party.